So gin was supposedly created by Dr. Franciscus Sylvus, who was a Dutch chemist in the 16th century as an attempt to actually cleanse the blood of those suffering from kidney disorders. Now, Sylvus named his creation at that time Geneviève, which is French for juniper. Now, mass production of gin in England soon followed, with King William III actually using his grudge against the French as a way to ban expensive liquor imports and essentially made gin affordable to the masses. Gin is essentially a light-bodied liquor that's made from a mash of cereal grain, usually corn, rye, barley, and wheat. The main flavor and aroma characteristics are contributed by the very apparent juniper berries. So there's a couple of main types of gin. The first one is London Dry gin. London Dry is essentially the benchmark of quality for the world of gin. Now, dry gins are often preferred for making martinis and are the most popular style used in cocktails. Then there's what's called a Plymouth gin, and Plymouth gin is a clear, slightly fruited, full-bodied gin. Next you have Old Tom gin. Now, Old Tom gin is a sweeter version of the London Dry gin. Now, Old Tom was the original gin used for the Tom Collins, hence how it got its name, and the gin of choice back in the 19th century. Next, you have a style of gin called Genever. Now, this variety is distilled from malted grain mash, similar to whiskeys, and tends to be a lower proof, around 70 to 80 proof. And then there's common new Western dry gins. And it's basically used to describe a number of new gins that have pushed the boundaries of specific distillation processes that rely on the dominance of the juniper berry. Now, in this era, many American craft gin distillers released gins that concentrate on flavors other than juniper, and brought up the question of whether these brands could technically actually be called gin. Because remember, gin, to be considered gin, has to have juniper as the main flavoring ingredient. Credit has to be given to gin because it's in some of the most classic cocktails of all time, including gin fizz, gin Rickey, martinis, Negronis, Gibsons, Gimlet, and of course the Tom Collins. Now, supposedly even Bloody Marys were originally made with gin. So there you go, there's kind of a basic rundown of all the types, the main types of gins out there in the world. Back when I was 21, 100 million years ago, I went out, got into a bar at midnight, drank gin and tonics until I puked my face off. So that's kind of my early experiences with gin, and then that turned me off to gin for a good 5 years. So I'm not like a huge gin connoisseur guy, but if you are, if you love gin, or if you have any other cool stories or insight about the history of gin, or if you have a favorite gin cocktail, what's your favorite gin cocktail? Let me know what you think about gin and gin cocktails. Okay, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. I'm Jason, and this has been making you a bartending pro. I'll see you next time. Take care.